Hello everyone, I'm Abhijit Patil presenting here a series of lectures on design of concrete structures. I'll be covering design of columns, footings, slabs, beams, also some basics of software used in practice like ETABS. So to stay tuned, please subscribe my channel and press the bell icon to get the updates of my next uploads. And the next element we are going to see is डिजाइन ऑफ कॉलम्स. ये कुछ भागों में बटा हुआ है design steps. So this will be the first part of all this. So let us what will be covered in this part. What are columns and their role, different elements of RCC columns, classification of columns and their practical implications. So let us see one by one. What are columns? So it is a basically compression member, and the role of this column, this member, is to resist axial load and moments transferred from beams as well as slabs supported on it, and transfer it to the floors below and ultimately to the footings, the foundation soil. And as per IS 456-2000 clause 25.1.1, columns are the members whose ratio, which ratio, effective length, that is L effective upon least lateral dimension. So lateral dimension is the cross-sectional dimension. The least of that, this ratio should be more than 3. What is L effective, that we are going to see soon. So what if this ratio is less than 3? That member is called as pedestal. Pedestals are mostly, you will see, for industrial buildings where the columns are in structural steel, and up to plinth the concrete elements are taken, and these are generally pedestals. तो अभी देखते हैं कौन कौन से एलिमेंट्स है आरसीसी कॉलम में. This you are looking at is a cross section of a typical RCC column. The outer part is nothing but your concrete section. इसका रोल होता है compression resist करना. It is very good in compression, you all know. Then longitudinal reinforcement or vertical reinforcement. It resists compression because we know that steel is also good in compression. So आप पूछोगे concrete तो resist कर रहा है, so why are we providing steel to resist this compression? See, ये load share करेगा. It will decrease the size of the column. ये इसका एक रोल है. We will also see what are the roles. It also resists tension. Tension कहाँ से आएगा? Whenever it is subjected to bending moments, that will cause tension on the columns, some part of the columns. So this will be resisted by this longitudinal or vertical bar, because we know concrete is weak in tension. It reduces creep and shrinkage. So whenever the concrete is drying or when the concrete is aging, in these conditions it is subjected to tensile, micro tensile forces. Because of that, it is the concrete will start cracking. So this steel reinforcement will reduce the creep and shrinkage. It will reduce its rate, and it imparts ductility and prevents or delays sudden brittle failure. If you remember the concrete technology test, the UTM test, on a concrete block of size 150 by 150 concrete cube, you may have noticed that their concrete fails suddenly after yield point, but steel has more ductility. That means it will still resist force even after yielding. Yielding मतलब क्या? It has started losing, or it has crossed the elastic level. So after that, still the steel will continue to take the load, but column will fail to do so. So this will delay the failure. Particularly, this ductility property is very important in seismic whenever or earthquake resistant design. So that the course, whenever you take up that course, that you will understand. And the third is lateral ties or transverse ties. So we will see what is the role of transverse tie. So you can see this vertical reinforcement longitudinal bar. It may buckle if it is not supported. So it actually prevents the buckling of longitudinal bars, because this is subjected to compressive vertical compressive load. So load is acting in this direction. So because of this, even though the steel is very good or equally good in compression, but in compression it may fail because of buckling. So these lateral ties avoid the buckling. The next role is it prevents the splitting of concrete. So because of this vertical or axial load, concrete may split in the other direction. Poisson's effect. Because of that, this section is subjected to horizontal forces like this, and there may be chance of developing tension crack this region. So this is resisted by this reinforcement, horizontal reinforcement. So it will take the tension. It prevents the diagonal tension. So diagonal tension, when it will occur, whenever you have shear force. So shear force in case of columns will be horizontal, and just like beams, हमने देखा है beam shear reinforcement के time पे, that it will crack like this, and to avoid this cracking, we provide this shear reinforcement. So same way, the ties act as shear reinforcement in case of columns, and it also confines the concrete, holds together, it holds together all the concrete section except this cover part, because cover is over and above the lateral tie, and it also imparts ductility being a steel material. Then we will see classification of columns. So why it is useful? Because why we are going into it, depending upon the type of column, your design steps will be slightly changed. So we have to first understand how the columns are classified. So based on type of reinforcement, you have normal tied columns. So everything is visible here. Then you have spiral columns. Remember, tied columns shape can be rectangular, square, circular, or any other shape. Spiral columns, even though I have shown a circular column, ये भी rectangular shape में भी we can provide the spiral reinforcement. So you can see there is no separate ring here. So one ring continues. So this is called as a spiral column. इसका advantage क्या है? It increases the load carrying capacity. So the code allows us to use 5% increased load carrying capacity. सेम सर्कुलर कॉलम है अगर, और इसमें स्पाइरल की बजाय रिंग यूज किए, सिंगल रिंग्स लाइक 1 2 3 4, तो उसके कंपैरिजन में अगर हम स्पाइरल यूज करते हैं, वी कैन इंक्रीज or we can consider the load carrying capacity 5% higher. So that is the advantage of this spiral. So we will see at the end of this session, we will see how practically these are made on site. And this is a composite column. You can see regular vertical bars are there, horizontal ties are there. In addition to that, you have a structural steel section, just like I section. कहाँ पे use होता है? Wherever there is heavy load, particularly high-rise buildings. So there these composite columns are used. So normally you will see the tied columns are you will see in any normal site. You can see spiral columns are rare on normal sites. Particularly these spiral columns are used for piles as well as bridge piers, and these will be where the loads are high, like high-rise buildings. The next classification is depending on type of loading. That means axial load. So the vertical load from the beam, slab, etc. is acting exactly at the centroid of the cross section of the column. If this is the case, then the loading is concentric or axial loading. Second is it is not acting exactly at the centroid, but it is with some eccentricity about one axis only. So this one vertical axis, it is acting eccentric about that axis. So how you can design that? You can just calculate moment acting on it. So P into E will be the moment. So that is why it is also called as, you can say, loading with uniaxial eccentricity, or you can say axial loading plus uniaxial bending. So bending moment is acting about this vertical axis. And third one is loading with biaxial eccentricity. So यहाँ पे एक axis के साथ था eccentricity. Here eccentricity is about both the axes, xx as well as yy. So bending moments will be in both directions, mx and my. So here we can also call it as axial loading plus biaxial bending. So practically how we uh, decide whether our column is of whether our column falls under which category. So for that I'm giving you some simple guidelines. So these are applicable for simple symmetric buildings just like this. So these are देख सकते हैं columns beams की grid है. Don't just look at the sizes, it doesn't matter. So ये जो आपके है these are interior columns. Interior किसको कहते हैं? The beams running over the columns are continuous. So यहाँ से beam आ रहा है and it is continuing in other direction. यहाँ से beam आ रहा है, it is continuing in other direction. So this is the case with all these four columns. So these are axially loaded columns. So here we have to, even though these are axially loaded columns, we have to consider minimum eccentricity for accidental loads. So that codal provision we will see later on. The next is edge columns. So those which are at the edges, so like this marked in the blue circle. So you can see ये बीम यहाँ से आ रहा है और कंटिन्यू हो रहा है इस डायरेक्शन में, लेकिन ये कॉलम पे जो ये बीम आ रहा है इट इज नॉट कंटिन्यूइंग इन दिस डायरेक्शन, इट हैज discontinuity. So this movement is unbalanced and it gets transferred to this column. Similarly these two. So these 8 columns are edge columns. So we have to design it as axial loads plus uniaxial bending. Then last type is these are corner columns. So all these 4 corner columns, we can see the beam is coming from this direction, but it is not continuing ahead. Similarly, this beam is coming in this direction and not continuing ahead. So this column is experiencing bending moment from both these beams because there is no continuity. So this falls under this category, axial loads plus biaxial bending. Remember, I am discussing all these in terms of gravity loads, that is dead load and live load. But in case of lateral loads, that is wind and earthquake loads, we will see almost all columns fall under category axial load plus uniaxial bending. So when you study the earthquake engineering, then you will understand this, why these columns will fall under this category. Because the earthquake movements will act on these beams. Whether the column is interior or edge column, the movements due to earthquake and wind will always act in that particular direction. The next classification is based on slenderness ratio. So this is as per IS 456-2000 clause number 25.1.2. So this is a typical cross section, XX, YY axis. This is dy. Remember, we are not measuring the dimension in along the axis, we are measuring the dimension across the axis. This is dy and this is dx. So short column, what is that? When the ratio L effective in x direction divided by the lateral dimension in x direction. Okay, so Lex upon dx should be less than 12, and I have made this bold and underlined because it is very important. And L effective in y direction upon lateral dimension in y direction. This ratio should also be less than 12. So if these two conditions are satisfied, then and then only we can call that column as short column. If any of these condition is not satisfied, that will not be a short column. So what is L effective? Again, in the next part of this lecture, we are going to cover that. So don't worry about that right now. So just remember, this ratio is less than 12, it will be a short column. Both these ratios in both directions, this ratio should come less than 12. What is the advantage of short column? Secondary movements can be ignored. So what are these secondary movements? For capturing these movements, we have to do second order analysis. So normally, whatever we do, three movement theorem, slope deflection method, matrix method, these are all first order analysis. So there you will not capture these secondary movements. Can give one example like P delta analysis we have to do. So those movements can be ignored if our columns are short columns, because those are very small. Then this is very important, column fails due to crushing, or you can say material failure, and you have to design for axial load plus movement if it is coming uniaxial or biaxial, plus minimum eccentricity if applicable. Now let us see long column. So for long column, these ratios should be more than 12. If any of the ratio is more than 12, I have written it here as or. If any of these ratios are more than 12, then our column becomes long column. So for example, you have dimension of 300 by 450, 300 dy, 450 dx. So obviously this ratio will come less. So if this ratio is more than 12 and the other ratio is less than 12, it will fall under long column category. If you want your column to be short, both these ratios should be less than 12. If any of this ratio is more than 12, it will be long column. So we have to consider secondary movements if our column is long. We have to do P delta analysis, or there is one codal procedure where we can find these additional moments. ये बहुत important चीज है, column fails due to buckling. तो column मटेरियल जो कि कंक्रीट और स्टील है वो फेल होने से पहले, कंक्रीट क्रश होने से पहले आपका कॉलम बकल हो जाएगा. व्हाट इज बकलिंग? व्हेन यू प्रेस, if you take a simple example I can give, if you take a steel rule and press from top and bottom, that is apply compressive force, what will happen to that steel rule? It will start buckling, a bending shape will be taking place. Same thing happens with our column, and before the concrete or steel fails, it will fail in buckle. It will fail due to buckling. So this is very, very dangerous. That is why we have to consider these secondary moments. And we have to design for axial load plus uniaxial or biaxial bending moment, minimum eccentricity, and additional moments. So to calculate additional moments, you can do p-delta analysis or you can use Codal procedure to find these additional moments. So in short, this classification you can see through this chart. So when this ratio, obviously this L by D is for rectangular, for other you have to consider R. That is why it is KL by R, the slenderness ratio. So whenever this ratio is less than 12, our column will fall under, or we call it as short column, so it will fail by crushing. And when this ratio exceeds 12 in any of the direction, you can see this curve. So up to here, the load carrying capacity is no problem, but after this, the load carrying capacity will sharply decrease because it will fail under buckling. So we'll see what we are going to cover in the next part. Unsupported length, effective length, K factor, जो अभी ग्राफ में हमने देखा था, how is that calculated. Then ये बहुत सारे लोगों को पता नहीं है, प्रैक्टिस में इफेक्टिव लेंथ कैसे कैलकुलेट करते हैं, how is minimum eccentricity calculated, what are the other important model provisions IS 456-2000 for design of axially loaded short columns. And the part next to that, later we are going to see one design numerical for axially loaded short column as per IS 456 guidelines. But before I end this video, I will have, as promised in the earlier slide, we will see how in practice these ties are made, how they are made. So rectangular ties, there I am going to show you 3 different videos. So you can see here there are markings. So whatever is the size of the ties, these white chalk markings are there. So they will adjust. You can see he has adjusted here and manually is bending this bar to form a rectangular tie. Widthwise, lengthwise, so you can see a marking here. So it is a very crude method, but for smaller sites, this method is followed. An important thing, now you can see he is bending those hooks to 135 degree like this. Okay, 135. So you can see how laborious the procedure is. Likewise, these rings are prepared. Then we will see bar bending machine can be used. So this is actually a promotional video by this company. You can see how easily 4 bars at a time and having higher diameter can easily be bent using machines. again the link. So it is not end link, it is intermediate link. That's why it is U shape. It's not rectangular, it's a U shape link. The next one you will see automatic machines. So this video is from Tata Tiscon website. You can see how quickly the bars are being bent. Full automatic machineries are being used like this. So you can see this Tiscon super links. So these are available in market like this ready-made links. Then spiral. So these are the spiral column. So how these spiral reinforcements are made? I have one small video where manually they are doing this. So this is for one pile side. That's why the diameter is huge. You can see four levers are being used. So he is supplying the reinforcement bar. These three people are rotating this drum. So once it is done, you have to remove this spiral on this drum and placed aside for further use. So this is how the bending of ties are done. So this will be covered in the next part. Later on, we will see only the numerical and Excel loaded shortcomings. So subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon to get updates on my next uploads. Thank you.